It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, July the 17th. Alice Cooper with the single greatest summer song of my life. Hit the ground running when I was 7 with school's out, and it still makes me feel pretty good. Except for the times you hear it when it's October, and you're like, what? No, that song has a 3-month shelf life every year. Why are we crossing the streams? It's Monday morning. I'm sure we're all very happy to be up early, all very happy to be anywhere, doing anything at all. Life is precious, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, we all know this.
Amen.
Life is precious. Candace and I, over the weekend, got to see Darius Rucker down at Prior Lake. That was precious. That was one of those times when you're like, man, life is good. I like this life. This is awesome. We're having fun. And sometimes, though, along the way, we have those moments where something happens unexpectedly, and you think it's over. You're like, well, that's the ball game.
Yep.
It's been great. Yeah. Or sometimes you think, that's the ball game. Damn, I should have done more. Or whatever.
Or sometimes you wake up on Sunday morning and wish you were dead.
Well, there's that, too. You think, well, that ball game should have ended a few hours earlier than it did, and now look at me here in hell. Chauncey Gorman, good man, my dog, sitting right here next to me right now. He hates motorcycles. I mean, like, they wind him up to no end. And it's my fault because I used to let him chase motorcycles in a dog park behind the fence. And so now he still wants to chase motorcycles. Like, say, I don't know, on Elm Street outside our studio. If one goes by and I'm walking him to the car, I have to grip that leash and do all I can to keep him. It's the one thing I cannot train out of him. And probably 2 months ago, walking him in our neighborhood, and I was a little lax. I was not paying quite enough attention. Maybe I took a phone call or I was looking at a bird in a tree like you do. And probably 2 blocks away, a motorcycle engine roared, like, bah. And he turned and just lunged like, I got to go. And I wasn't, again, not totally on the ball. And his lunge took him right off the curb where we were, right onto the street, right in front of a truck.
Oh.
And I jerked the leash back, and the truck driver, thankfully, I think, had the wherewithal to go, there's a dog really close to the street, and maybe I better, and he just had his eye on him clearly. But if he hadn't, I'm telling you, that truck, it was like a water truck. That would have been lights out.
Yeah.
And so Chauncey had that moment. Now, being a dog, thankfully, he got over it in about 1 second. And then he was still looking for that motorcycle.
Right.
But me, I walked off and went, oh, baby. And we've all had those moments. Zep, you were telling me you had a this is the end of the game moment on your own motorcycle.
Yeah, I was actually just tooling home. I lived in Prior Lake at the time, and it was late at night, and I'm coming up a long hill, and at the very last moment, I see a deer. A lot of motorcyclists have had this experience, but mine was this close, and it's coming up out of the ditch. I see it at the very last moment, so that I kind of just, tightened up a little bit and went, this is going to hurt. This is going to be bad.
You're going, how fast are you going?
About 60 to 70 miles an hour.
Okay.
I'm clipping along pretty good. And I thought, this is it. This is the end. And I don't know if I closed my eyes when you kind of flinch like that.
Yeah.
But I remember looking it right in the eyeball. And I mean, I felt like you could have reached out and grabbed its snout. And all of a sudden it was gone. It was just, pew, and I went, what? And I looked in my rearview mirror quick there on the right handlebar to see what had happened to the deer. And the rearview mirror was turned in instead of turned out. I think his nose just grazed my mirror as he hit the brakes and did that 180 and right back into the ditch, into the trees.
Some part of him hit that mirror, sure.
Yeah, and heart thumping, man. I thought that was the final end, my friend.
I've had a deer jump out in front of a car I was driving and avoided it, but boy, that's a whole different vibe on a motorcycle.
Ooh, but it happens and it's over so fast. So it's that moment.
Now, let me ask you this: did you have to, within a couple minutes, did you pull over because the adrenaline surge was so overwhelming? I've had that happen. Yeah. I was driving a car and, dropped looked away. I'm on a 2-lane road. And then as I look back up, I'm heading straight towards a semi, overcorrect, avoid the truck, go off the side of the road, slide, recorrect, all good, terrifying, almost the head-on collision, and then almost the going into the ditch, and then, the overcorrection, the correction, a second correction, going straight again, and I was like, whoa, okay, and then about 60 seconds later, or maybe it was 6 seconds, it felt like a minute, I realized I have to pull over now. My adrenaline is still surging so much I couldn't control the car. I was having a hard time. I was shaking so hard.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I have to pull over and just stand. I got out of the car and I just stood there and jumped around and screamed for a few minutes because it was so overwhelming.
I remember I was probably about a half mile from a traffic light. I got up to the top of the hill and then about a half mile into a traffic light, still trying to process what almost happened or did that happen? And I keep looking at the mirror like, that's pointed in.
Yeah.
That was definitely pointed out. And when I got to the light, and I remember I came to a stop, my legs were shaky as I put my legs down.
Yeah.
And my hands were a little shaky, so I threw my kickstand down for a second. Just kind of did a couple of deep breaths and then took it on home and put it away and just laid there in bed thinking that almost happened.
These are great moments. Not at the time, but you look back on them. You know, there's that time when the adrenaline does kind of ebb a little bit, and then you realize like, whatever my biggest problem is, it ain't that big.
Right.
All of a sudden, you want instant perspective. Walk right up to that edge. Tony, a man with your ne'er-do-well attitude towards life, clearly you've had close calls. I see you like walking out on off on a balcony railing or something, as a dare.
Right. The guy that was streaking. He didn't make it. He went over the balcony naked.
That would be an exciting way to go. When you talked about your car story, I remember it was a New Year's Eve, and I had just a car full of guys, and we were headed to a party, and some car had whipped by us on the highway and gave us the finger. It was just being a jerk and swerving.
Twas the manner of the time.
Of course. And then just a couple seconds later, that same car had completely stopped right in the middle of the freeway and was sideways.
Whoa.
And I had no time to react. It was one of those where you grab the wheel, slam it one way, slam it the other. It was really like a stuntman move. It was really impressive and just missed it by inches. And we got to the party and no one would talk. And finally, my friends were just like, you saved our lives.
Oh, wow.
And we all had a drink together, but it was that close. We would have flipped and blown up. And it would have been
the miracle of rack and pinion steering.
Yeah, my reaction time was very impressive.
That is very impressive. Nice job there.
But that was close.
I had Candace Wheeler. I mean, you've lived life on the edge. Are there any immediately? Is there an immediate callback to? Oh my God, I totally thought that was the end.
Well, I'm not proud of it, but I was like, I don't know if I was texting. I was for sure looking at my phone.
Sure.
And I almost
We've all been there.
Yeah. So I almost got in a really scary accident. Like I was going pretty fast too. And then when I realized to hit the brakes, it was just after Dave Mordall's brother passed away. So I had like his little funeral pamphlet in my car.
Sure.
And like the moment that I slammed on the brakes, it like kind of fell to the front of the car.
Oh.
And it was like so weird that like, I don't know. And then Dave was like, yeah, he was a Marine. So he was saving, he was looking out for you, whatever. And I was like, oh, my God.
That's
cool.
cool.
A very intense moment.
Yeah, those are pretty intense. I'm sure we all have them. By the way, I welcome anyone to share the "holy crap, I thought the ball game was over" moment. 651-989-ROCK. That's the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line. You can share your stories. We're going to be running this one up the flagpole all morning because you know what? It's great to do this every now and again. Like, hey, it's not so bad. It's like the old, I complain. What do they say? I used to bitch about not having shoes till I saw a guy with no feet. Hey, and right now we all have pressures. We all have stressors. But we're still here. And as Keith Richards says, it's good to be here. It's good to be anywhere.
Every day above ground is a good one.
That certainly is. There's also there's plenty of those moments where you look back and realize, oh, I totally overreacted. I mean, everybody has a turbulence on the plane moment, and you have that, oh my God, this is it. And then it passes, and the flight attendant never even like batted an eyebrow, and you're like, oh, that's just me being panicky. And so, I mean, we've all got those, but I'm talking about the ones that are real. I'm talking about the deer knocked your rear view mirror sideways with his nose right before you ran into him. Those are the intense ones. I saw my dad basically electrocute himself. He had hedge trimmers. And I only chuckled because my dad was such a know-it-all, he's the former Marine who just, I do everything right, damn it. And he walked a corded hedge trimmer across our patio, and there was a little bit of a puddle from where he'd previously hosed off the patio, so he did it to himself. And the two extension cords had separated just a little where they connect, even though he had knotted them in the way you did. And he took whatever number of volts. And he was just talking. He's like, so I'm going to walk over here and get this. And then and he's just giving us the lecture. He could never just do anything and show you how to do it. He had to explain the genius that was him.
Right.
And he walks across the patio, and all of a sudden he just went, this noise came out of him that he just from the depths, and he went over like an oak tree, and he just laid there, and he literally twitched for a second. He's like, and then his reaction was not "thank God I'm alive." It's I can't believe someone saw me do that. He was more embarrassed than anything. I never saw, but I wouldn't be surprised if like his palms were black, like he took a serious electrical charge, and all he was embarrassed. I was like, damn, he was seeing some angels or maybe some devils right on his shoulders in that moment for sure.
I think dads of previous generations would rather be dead than embarrassed. That could
absolutely
be an entirely another topic altogether. Dads, getting bit for things that they told you not to do. That's a whole other thing. But we're talking about near-death experiences. Well, it's Monday morning. Why not? Like I said, happy to be alive on the KQ Facebook page. Near being the keyword there, near-death experiences. The Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text. As Steve said, 651-989-ROCK. Mike Evans' Hollywood Report is coming. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. This is the week of Oppenbarbie, the two most hotly anticipated movies of the summer. No one's going to promote them. The writers and the actors don't want you to go see them, just to send a message. But chances are I'll see both. That's how it goes. Let's talk Hollywood. It's time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Steve. Hope everything's going well. National Tattoo Day. You got a tattoo?
You the little fella from Fantasy Island?
No.
He gets his own day?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm guessing you have tattoos.
I got none, baby.
Really?
Not a single one.
I don't have any either. No.
I always said if I were going to get any, they would look just like the other moles on my body, and then you'd never know which was real and what wasn't. Either that or like a cordless weed eater right down my leg. One or the other.
Hey, got love nuggets for you. What do all these former couples have in common?
Okay.
Jennifer Lopez and Drake, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, Kendall Jenner and Harry Styles, Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn. The answer? Mm-hmm. They were really never couples. They acted to promote various projects that they were doing together.
Sure. The story as old as Hollywood itself.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
Man, talk to Tom Cruise about that one.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 had solid box office, but also kept showing up on the Internet from time to time. It was taken down as fast as it kept appearing. But it had a good weekend at the box office, just the same. Oh,
you mean people are showing up, people are getting little bootleg copies, filming it on their iPhone, posting it? Oh, right.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, when one of those pops up again, send us that link, would you?
Okay, we'll do. Cool. Yeah. Just what the strikers need, too, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
TV news, last week's All-Star game, baseball game, was one of the least watched in history. No surprise. I say stick a fork in it. Who cares about the baseball All-Star game anymore?
The home run derby is far more compelling. At least they're actually trying, and there's something to be had for winning.
Absolutely. Now, this next item, everybody in Minneapolis knows all about it, but in case they missed it, I got to bring it up. Speaking of sports and TV, football right around the corner. But I know people in Minneapolis have been watching a Netflix quarterback series. What a great one-season, 8-episode series. Mm-hmm. That follows the life on and off the field. 3 quarterbacks, Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes, Atlanta's former quarterback Marcus Mariota, who's now with Philadelphia, and, of course, Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins comes across as just being the best of the best. Mm-hmm. Have you watched any of it?
Just seen highlights. I planned to watch it, and I had a plan over the weekend, and one thing led to another, and here I am on Monday saying, man, I meant to watch that.
Yeah, it's really good. You're really going to like it. Yeah. And HBO's Hard Knocks starts shooting this week, or will they? I mean, it's the New York Jets and they're in Rodgers, but with the strike the way it is, you wonder whether or not they'll actually shoot that thing.
Yeah, I kind of think they probably won't, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
Give Aaron Rodgers any reason not to do what's expected of him, and he'll jump all over it.
And the first preseason NFL football game matches the Jets and Cleveland now 17 days away, a little over 2 weeks, August 3rd. Just thought you'd want to know.
We can breathe again.
There you go. Odds and ends. So Mike Tyson, he says that he may come out of retirement and declare himself a female just so he can fight women in cage fights. Tyson was trying to be funny, but I thought it was actually a pretty funny comment by Mike Tyson. Mike.
I think, Mike's not. I mean, yeah, he's still got a right hook, I'm sure, but don't write a check your ass can't cash, buddy.
There you go. Just when you thought you'd heard every stupid thing that Kevin Spacey possibly could have said while he's in England on trial for sexual assault, one of the last things he said Friday to the media was, quote, "Look, because I'm famous, I could have sex with anybody I wanted, so why would I force myself on anybody?" End quote.
Yeah, that's not gonna carry well.
That's not a good thing to say. What the hell? Just ridiculous. Horrible.
Yeah, that's really bad. Not exactly showing the common touch.
No. And you may have heard about a dozen multi-million-dollar homes that have suffered in landslides and collapsed down the cliffs of Rolling Hills, California.
Oof.
Michael Douglas and his wife, Catherine Zeta-Jones, lives less than a mile from that landslide, and Jimmy Kimmel also lives over in that neighborhood as well. So,
wow.
Have you ever been over there in that Rolling Hills, Palos Verdes area?
I don't think I have, no.
Yeah,
I've been out. I've seen the after effect of mudslides in L.A., and it's just pretty terrifying.
The Rolling Hills, Palos Verdes is, I think, the best part of Southern California, but they're built on cliffs.
Yeah.
And there's actually a road, the main road down, it's called the Portuguese Bend. There's a huge sign saying this road is in constant movement, pavement movement. Every 2 months they have to go in and resurface it. So
Okay, at some point you got to just give up the ghost, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See you.
Thank you, Mike. I've been meaning to watch that Netflix quarterback thing. I believe it was our own Brian Zepp who said, and I quote, "I did watch a little. Cousins is very likable, but give me the prick that wins Super Bowls."
Yeah, I mean, he is. You know what drives me crazy? We had like one of the worst program directors, one of the worst bosses you could possibly ever have, and everybody would say, he's a nice guy. I'm like, oh, wonderful. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Well, let's follow him right off a cliff somewhere, shall we?
Sure.
I mean, sure, he's a nice guy. He's likable. I've never had anything, bad. He's not a kook like Rodgers or whatever, but, give me a Super Bowl and a couple of MVPs.
You don't have to be a prick to be an effective boss or leader.
No.
And being a nice guy also doesn't buy you a lot of ground around here. That's what we're trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
I started watching it.
Candace started watching it because she loves sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's semi-interesting. I think that Patrick Mahomes is I love watching him talk and stuff. So, yeah, I like that part.
They couldn't have picked a better trio because Cousins was part of that, one of the most exciting Viking seasons ever. And Marcus Mariota just blew up and tanked.
Yeah, it's a tale of three very different seasons.
And Mahomes won the Super Bowl, so it was.
I love that Cousins was part of one of the most exciting Viking seasons ever that ended in the first round of the playoffs. That says something about.
No, I mean they had the biggest comeback in NFL history. Those comebacks.
I'll say
they highlighted his bad play at the very end of the season.
I've not seen it, but I will say this for Marcus Mariota: he is a great guy, and I know that from Nashville, Tennessee. In the community, I don't have any personal interaction with him, but I know a lot of people that did. And in fact, his longtime girlfriend, was an assistant coach at my kid's school for years. And he would just show up on a regular basis at school. This is the starting QB, and he would just hang out and go out on the playground, and he'd be throwing footballs with middle schoolers, just for fun. I'm sorry, man. I mean, it doesn't mean he's, don't have to give him the humanitarian award of the year, but that's, there's a lot of things he could have been doing. He was always happy to be there. And when he was there, he was very present. And then in the business community, anyway, you can't find a bad word said about the guy other than that win-loss record, of course. Hey, these things happen. Candace, do we have a caller? We were talking earlier today about near misses, near-death experiences. And as Zep said, the key word is near. And so I believe somebody wanted to share a story with us.
I just hung up on him accidentally.
Candace, there's no near death to that phone call. That phone call's dead. Candace just said, torch it, baby.
Now it's their near on-air experience. I had a near on-air experience this morning with KQ.
If you just got, if you are the recipient of Candace's heavy thumbs, feel free to call back. The Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line 651-989-7625. Near misses, there's plenty of them. Oh, that phone's ringing again. Whew, baby. Zep almost hit a deer on a motorcycle, and to the fact that the rearview mirror was smashed in from we believe it was the snout of the deer. That one still that gets me, man. I mean that's like I never rode a motorcycle. I did ride for years a Vespa scooter until I saw myself in a reflection and realized how stupid it looked. I blew out a back tire and rode that thing right into a chain link fence once. But luckily for me, no injuries because I was drunk. Okay, Candace, do we have a caller right now who's ready to talk?
Rob from Mound.
Rob, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you got for us, brother?
I was on Minnetonka probably about 20 years ago on Minnetonka Boulevard and about Hopkins Crossroads. The biggest buck I ever saw jumped right over the hood of my truck and left a hoof mark on the driver's side.
Whew.
Oh.
I was probably, I was going the speed limit probably about 35, 40. And all of a sudden, it was dusk, and it just launched right over the whole truck.
Damn.
Right over the
hood. I'm imagining you had a strong adrenaline rush after that one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Like, holy crap, yeah.
I mean, people have been killed with deer trying to leap a vehicle and gone through the window and taken them out.
Yeah. Man.
It was pretty close to that.
Damn.
Well, I'm happy to say it was a close call. That's what we're excited to have close calls today. Thank you for the call, brother.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
You got it. We'll see you. Candace, have we got anybody else that you want to recommend we speak with?
Well, this is who I hung up on, so.
Oh, well, then by all means.
Dave from Andover.
Dave, thanks for calling back, brother. What have you got for us?
Yeah, hey, really glad to have you in town, man.
Thank you, Dave.
I was whipping along down by I'm originally from St. Paul. I was down by the river, down by the Pig's Eye waste plant. A weird situation where the road, it has a yield sign, and I'm going along there, and the yield sign wasn't for me. I was going to go back up by the river,
right?
And this guy comes right through the yield sign in front of me, and I stood up on it and just put the brakes. The bike, I didn't lay it down, but it swerved a bit, and I stopped, and I don't think I was more than about 3 feet from that guy's bumper when he ended up stopping and I ended up stopping.
Oh, man. Yikers, man.
Any words exchanged?
Hey, no.
Okay.
No, I don't know, man. I was like paralyzed. I just
sure.
I just pulled it over to the side of the road and just stood there for a little while.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
But, hey, I got a quick one. You're talking about concerts.
Yeah.
Last week, I was at the first annual Pride of Dixie.
Pride of Dixie.
This was when the Superdome in New Orleans was virtually new.
Okay.
I think it was about 75.
Right.
Saw Charlie Daniels, Marshall Tucker, and the Allman Brothers.
Great Scott.
Hey,
what a lineup.
Hey, and my brother was flying on an airplane. He was in the Navy, and it would have been back in about 71.
Okay.
He's in San Francisco getting on a plane, flying to Hawaii for his next duty station. And back then, Admiral Zumwalt was in charge of the Navy, and he relaxed the standards a bit so guys could have beards, longer hair, and fly in their civvies.
Okay.
So my brother's got his jeans, his sandals, and a poncho on. He's got longer hair and a beard. He's standing in the airport in Frisco, waiting to get on his plane. A guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, man, can you grab these bags and carry them onto the plane for me?" And my brother says, "What?"
Yeah.
Says, "Why do you want me to carry these bags on the plane for you?" He says, "Well, aren't you with the band?"
Oh, boy. Here we go.
My brother says, "Band? I'm in the Navy." The guy says, "What Navy are you in?" He says, "The U.S. Navy." He says, "If you're in the U.S. Navy, I want to meet you. You come with me." There was Carlos Santana brought my brother up to the front of the plane.
Attaboy.
In first class, and invited my brother to hang out with him because his band was giving a concert at Diamond Head on New Year's Eve.
I thought for sure
awesome.
this was going to be a Village People ending.
I was hoping for it, too. Dave, thank you for the call, brother. I'm sorry to say we got to bounce, but we appreciate it. Anybody who starts a story with, "I was whipping along," you are welcome here.
Yeah.
On the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. We've got some guys. We got some gals. Everybody's got a story. Please hang on because we do want to get to your calls. We've got near misses, close calls up and running this morning. But it's important right now that I mention that, KQRS, 92 KQRS has rocked the boat 80s party this Friday. It's sold out. It's sold out. But the only way on that boat, thankfully, is you can win tickets. So keep on listening for your chance. That's Friday, July 21st, Paddleford Riverboats. We're going to launch from Harriet Island in downtown St. Paul for a night of drinks, free food from Lucky's 13 Pub, and live music from Rough House. That's this Friday. Keep on listening for your chance to win tickets and join us, won't you? There we go.
All right.
That's us.
I love it. Was reading Devery. Is that how you said that? Devery on the KQ Facebook page. Driving home on 15 around Lake Minnetonka. Worst fog ever. Off the road. Totaled the car. Hits a light pole. No one could believe I only broke my pinky. Damn. So I'm looking out for you there. Near-death experiences. We got a couple of people on hold. Get yours in on the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line 651-989-ROCK or on the KQ Facebook page, and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, July the 17th. Good morning. We are talking about near misses, close calls, moments in life when we look back and go, holy smokes, I thought the ball game was over. And the key word, to quote my friend Brian Zepp, is always near-death experience. Close calls. Those are the stories we're looking for. A lot of comments on Facebook. The Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line is afire, as we say. Everybody's got these stories. We've already heard from a few callers, some pretty great ones. We've got our own to share, a few already on the table and a few more to come. But right now, let's go to the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line. Candace, we have someone who's been on hold for a while, which we greatly appreciate.
Nate from Chaska.
Nate, good morning, sir.
Morning.
What do you got for us?
So I was on Lake Minnetonka with a buddy of mine, and we were in a rather small speedboat, and he knew I wasn't real comfortable with the speeds that he liked to go. Mm-hmm. And I was in the front left side of the boat, and he was driving in the right, and we hit a wake out of nowhere, and I went flying through the driver's side windshield on the right.
Whoa! Oh!
He bailed out the right, and the boat kept going.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
He had the throttle full bore. It ghost-rided it around this arm and ended up landing on a crisscross.
Oh, no. Nobody seriously injured?
Nope. I had a couple stitches in my shin, and I separated my shoulder, but both of us could have been knocked unconscious.
Does he still go fast?
We were going about 50.
Does he still go fast in the boat?
Oh, I don't ride in the boat with him anymore.
Yeah, there you go. That's the best policy.
Man, just when I needed another reason not to go on Lake Minnetonka, Nate comes in and provides it for me.
Right.
Man, that's scary. Thank you, Nate. We appreciate the call.
A whole bunch of people. 4 people this year have died. There's a big thing to jump, get the boat going as fast as you can and leap off the back of the boat into the wake. I think 4 people, not here in Minnesota. I haven't heard of anyone even being seriously injured here in Minnesota, but it's become one of these online trends. Yeah,
it's a Southern thing.
Yeah, that's what it's like. Alabama, I think 4 people are dead.
As a Southerner, I don't mind saying that's a Southern thing. So what is it that's killing them? Are they not getting enough clearance? Are they somehow getting? Well, you're on a boat. It's blasting through a lake.
Yeah.
You go to the back of the boat and you jump off and jump in. I don't understand how these people are meeting their death in that situation.
The impact.
Yeah, I had that same thought.
Maybe they're just drunk to begin with.
Yeah, but I didn't read the article. I just went boop, Darwin Award, and then just kept moving. But yeah, I suppose you must hit wrong or something like that. Maybe a spinal cord injury. I don't know. I have to go back and look it up. But 4 people in one summer season. Yeah.
Yeah. Go back to planking, kids. Okay, at least you're not going to drown 9 times out of 10. Candace, do we have another caller?
Yes, Mike from Highland Park.
Mike, good morning.
Hi, Steve. Okay, so I was an over-road truck driver for about 20 years.
All right.
I was down in Orlando, Florida. Now, everyone knows Orlando, but around it, it's like a one big truck stop.
Okay.
Now, that one, there's a lake out back, and they said, there's a 20-foot alligator out there.
Oh, jeez.
No, come on. The guys who used to run chickens and turkeys, they'd have to pull the dead ones out, and they'd throw them into this lake and feed the alligator.
Okay.
So the alligator got used to having people feed it.
Sure
One night, I was drunk, and I went down there to take a leak.
Oh, boy.
And I'm standing down there, and this thing comes up to me. He's like 2 feet in front of me.
Oh, man.
Imagine a 55-gallon drum. That's the size of his mouth.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
it opened, and I froze.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting ready to die now. This is my end. And all of a sudden, this rather large African-American gentleman up on the deck says to me, and I quote, "Boy, you better get your ass out of there. That thing's fixing to eat you."
Right. Sure.
And I snapped out of it. And it scared the alligator away. And when they do that, they poop their pants. So I was left covered in swampy water, alligator feces, and my pee.
Yeah, well, yeah, better than your own feces.
To this day, it'll wake me up at night, and I cannot get back to sleep. It's really weird. I just can't get that image out of my head.
Well, Mike, if it makes you feel better, that's probably going to wake me up tonight. Not so much your near-death experience, but more the alligator crap part of it. That's upsetting.
Oh, man.
That's brutal.
Hey, you guys are great. And Candace?
Yes.
We all love you.
Oh, but I thought it was going the other way.
So true.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it.
Who's all? I mean, just all the truckers.
All the alligator fans out there.
No, stop at Reptile Garden for him. Well, we just had the story not that long ago. The kid went to take the leak down by the pond, and then there was this guy who did the same thing and came out with one less arm.
Hey, come here. Come here, bro.
Got bit by an alligator. His whole arm came off, bro.
You're good, dude. You're good. You're good. You're out of the water now. All right. Roll him over. Roll him over and put a tourniquet on him.
You're a soldier, bro. You got this.
Yeah, you got this, bro. Taking a leak down by the pond, the alligator-infested pond.
I tell you, I'm going to go back to Mike's story. He mentioned that the alligator pooped its pants. What is that, like a chino? Is an alligator going with like a coaching short? What kind of pants is an alligator wearing?
Well, something from Izod, obviously.
Sure. There you go. It's absolutely going to be an Izod, a pair of trousers, khakis. What are they called? Dockers. That's what the Gators are going with these days. Candace, do we have someone else on hold?
Tom from Forest Lake.
Tom, good morning, sir.
Morning.
What do you got for us?
Oh, it's like a year ago, last week. It was the end of June of last year. Jumped on my motorcycle to go get cigarettes. It's on a 3-day golf tournament. So I jumped on my motorcycle, got to Osceola, and ended up on Highway 35 going east on Highway 8 and going 60 miles an hour in the middle of traffic. 1:30 in the afternoon. I look in front of me. There's 5 cars in front of me and 5 behind, and there's a deer right in front of me at 60 miles an hour. I had no reaction time. Didn't get through it. I maybe hit the front brake, but I do remember the deer folding around the front of my bike. I hit it dead center. Dead center at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It folded around my bike. I closed my eyes. I thought I made it. Then I hit my head. Opened my eyes, and the sky was going by. I still had the bike in my hands. So as soon as I let go of the bike, the tires must have hit, and the bike went flipping away. I turned into a pencil because I didn't want to flip. I was only supposed to go 4 miles for smokes, but I was like 40 miles from my house heading to my sister's cabin. And no helmet, no jacket, no gloves, just a T-shirt and a little breezy golf jacket on. That was all I had on, my safety glasses and my sunglasses.
Yeah.
Then for some reason, I made it.
Yeah. What was the injury report, Mike? Tom. What was the injury report?
Like I said, I turned into a pencil. When I came to a stop, I opened my eyes again, and the yellow stripes were going by me.
Yeah. Did you break anything?
I don't know how long it took, but I jumped up off the road and got myself to the side of the road and pretty much just dusted myself off.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, dusted myself off. The guy came over to me. His eyes were as big as grapefruits. I don't know how long I was laying on the road, but long enough for him to have my bike on the side and all my junk stacked up.
That's amazing.
Disintegrated. I didn't have anything. The cops came, ambulances, fire trucks, first responders, they all came. By the time I got there, I already had myself blood stopped my face and my head. And
whoa.
No injuries. The ambulance came. I wouldn't get in it. My sister came from the cabin with a trailer and took the bike and brought me to Amory Hospital. Must have been a trauma 2. 2.5 hours, $18,000 later, they gave me 10 Vicodin or 10 oxycodone and said, "You're the luckiest man alive."
Yeah,
enjoy the buzz. Yeah,
right. Man, that's incredible. Tom, I'm glad to know you're still able to make this phone call, much less do anything else in a day. Cheers. That's a hell of a story. Thank you, sir.
I think with the last guy with the alligator call too, you can still hear some adrenaline when we talk about these a little bit. I was talking about a farm accident, almost getting sucked into a round baler when I was a kid, and I was thinking about that. It gets you. You start.
What happens if you get sucked into a baler? You don't come out, do you?
No, you don't come out.
It sounds like something that sounds like a quick ending.
Till the cows eat the bale and spit you out. No,
you almost got pulled in?
A round baler. Yeah, I did everything wrong. Everything you're not supposed to do when you get off that tractor for the round baler. And I won't tell the entire story, but basically the binder twine wasn't catching, and I was trying to throw it in there. I know when I say that out loud, anyone who's ever lived on a farm or has any idea of farming and baling just went, "You idiot! You should be dead."
I don't know what you're talking about, and I think you're an idiot.
Yeah, I was an idiot. But it pulled my glove off my hand. Thankfully, I was wearing a glove. The binder twine got wrapped around that, pulled the glove into the bale. Lost a good glove. But I did not lose my arm or my life.
Oh, thanks to your love for Michael Jackson, you were saved.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Jackson was he a righty or a lefty? But I had 2 gloves.
I'm just picturing Zeb's dad like, no, he's a good boy. He's a hard worker. Where's that damn sparkly glove on that one hand, though? I don't know what's going on.
Oh, the daddy-daughter dance. That's another topic. I'll tell you how I brought the house down dressed as Michael Jackson with the glove, and there are photos to prove
about near-death experience. What the hell are you talking about?
We got a lot of good ones here this morning.
The death of dignity is death itself, too. Don't kid yourself.
Are you kidding me? Oh, man, there wasn't an overweight mom in that crowd that didn't want a little bit of what I was selling on stage that night. I'm telling you, it's legendary in Prayer Lake. They're still talking about it.
Oh, my God. Zepp as the gloved one. That video is worth it's priceless. I'd love to see it.
The topic of the morning, however, is near-death experiences. Today was Tanya. This was from Tanya. Following people that have better stamina than her while swimming in a lake, she realized she was out of juice. Tried to turn around, swim back. Just as her head went underwater, she felt her leg kick a branch. She ended up holding on until she could catch her breath. Almost drowned. Share yours on the KQ Facebook page, or you be on the radio this morning, just like us. It's a lot of fun. Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and text line 651-989-ROCK. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, July the 17th. Good morning. We're talking about near misses so far on the show today. We've had some Really chilling phone calls, posts on the Facebook page. A lot of people sharing their near-death experiences, near being the key word. We've all had them. Life is precious, and sometimes the universe has to remind us of that by scaring the bejesus out of us. Close calls, we've all got a few. Tony, I believe a few people have texted in some on the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Apparently 20 years is landmark time for these stories. 20 years ago today, I hit a deer on my motorcycle. Nice helicopter ride to the hospital, but I'm still here.
And 20 years ago today?
Yeah.
Wow. And survived the helicopter ride, which, trust me, as a musician, I steer clear away from those things at all costs.
Now, this one from Mitch is a little chilling and mysterious. He also says 20 years ago, I had a car fall on me in my garage. I was crushed pretty badly, and my daughter ran out to call 911. I said, God, don't let me die like this in front of my daughter, and passed out. When I woke up, I was laying out from underneath the car. My daughter and I have no idea how I got there. I was rushed to the hospital where they told my son to give me a hug because I wasn't going to make it, but that was 20 years ago. That's pretty unbelievable.
Whoa!
She hulked out. She did the Hulk thing.
I think so.
Picked the car up off him.
Yeah, the superhuman strength. No memory of it, though.
Yeah, that happens when you Hulk out. It's happened to me 4 times today.
Sure.
One was just taking a crap.
I was going to say, boy, that coffee machine never knew what was coming.
No.
It's still not brewed.
Wondering why your flannel was so ripped.
If you've got a near-death experience you want to share, all in good fun. I mean, again, it's perspective we're looking at today. Like, it's not so bad, really, is it? Give us a shout. 651-989-ROCK is the phone number to call. Something else I want to touch on quickly. We've talked about this in the past. There are cases occasionally of something called foreign accent syndrome.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people will have a head injury. They'll go unconscious. They'll wake up, and they're talking with a completely believable and very real accent, almost always from a place they have no connection to. They've never, I mean, there's examples where someone will wake up, like an American will suddenly sound very much like an Australian. They've never been there. They've never done an accent before. And it's almost always the case where someone says, I can't even do any accents. But this isn't something they're suddenly able to do. This is something that they're only able to do. Mm-hmm. Foreign accent syndrome changes the way people talk for good. You wake up one day and you're literally saying things like, Panadol's Australian for headache relief, mate. But it's way more authentic sounding. And now there's a case, a woman in England woke up one day, no head injury. She just woke up with a Welsh accent. Now, if you're thinking, what's the difference? That's Minnesota to Wisconsin. It's not quite that way. England and Wales, both part of the United Kingdom. Trust me when I say, because having spent a lot of time with some Welsh people, very different countries. A lot of different, culturally speaking, they view each other as not the same, to be sure. We have a little bit of audio. Do you have this, Zep? This is a woman who normally sounds very proper English, and this is what a Welsh accent sounds like.
6 days ago, I woke up with this accent. Literally, I open my eyes, open my mouth, and I'm Welsh. Never in my life have I been able to do an accent. And here I am, rocking it. It's called foreign accent syndrome, I believe. I'm not sure when it's going to go. I don't know anything about it. I'm just raising awareness.
So, and interestingly enough, actually started as a German accent and then morphed into what sounds like a Welsh accent. And if you're wondering, what's the big deal? She's in England, it's Wales. This is the when you think about what it is culturally and the way people respond to those accents. If you're living in the middle of England, if you, and by you I mean anyone listening to the show right now, woke up tomorrow and sounded like you were from Pig's Knuckle, Arkansas,
right?
Or if you, hi man, Hey, you going to head up to Cub? If you do, get me some of that Gerber's beef baby food. I mean, if you started talking like that and couldn't stop it, trust me, that would not make you comfortable. That wouldn't be funny. It wouldn't be cute. It would take about 3 days before you just wanted to, you would either have to move down south where people would stop looking at you funny, or you'd just want a straitjacket.
Well, that, and people would think you were mocking them, right?
Of course.
Mocking this. Oh, that's funny. I see what you're doing with the hillbilly accent there. That's hilarious. By the way, I did a little Googling, and I did not find any examples of foreign accent syndrome. There are a lot of them out there. This isn't super uncommon. It happens many times a year to people. no one has acquired an English accent, or an American accent. Just a good old Midwestern lack of accent, we call it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's got to be kind of extreme. I mean, maybe the way it works is your brain just picks on one you've heard that's really, really out there, as opposed to the flat sort of little bit of everybody Midwestern accent.
Yeah.
If you woke up tomorrow and you were going to have a convincing real accent from anywhere in the world, do you have a choice? Do you have a preference? Like, if you had to wake up with a new accent, I'm not sure. My first thought was always French. I do my horrible French accent. I do all my accents. They're pretty terrible. But the French one, like, there's just something that's just so condescending about listening to a French person speak English. I would have fun with that because you can say anything. You can compliment someone and they still think you're taking, like, no, I've never seen you look better than this. And it's like, what are you actually trying to say? I don't know. I learned French as a kid. I speak a little bit of it now, but and even as much as I'm a bit of a Francophile, I still think they're just condescending as hell. I don't know. It's just kind of funny to me. Tony, what would you go with if you had to have an accent?
I'd go with Jersey. I'd want pop like this all the how you's doing.
Yeah.
Straight
nice.
Up. All right. Zep, you got a preference?
Slick it back. Peruvian, I think, probably.
Sure. Yeah.
I knew a Peruvian woman once. I like the way she talked, among other things.
And if that also lends itself to that pan flute skill set, then sure.
Yeah.
Go down to the light rail station and just blow some pan flutes with a hat out for money. That'd be awesome. Candace, is it safe to say you'd go full on Italian accent?
No, Michigan.
Michigan.
The Youper.
Guys want some pop? I got some pop in the trunk of the car.
No, I would totally do Italian because I would speak it so much better if I had an actual accent. I can't even roll my R's. I suck.
Oh, come on. You can roll your
no,
R's.
No, I have a small tongue.
Try it. Let's hear it. Caravaggio. Come on.
Parmigiano.
There's not an R in
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there is.
You can't tell because I can't roll my R's.
The way you say it.
That's pronounced Parmesan.
Oh man, that's tough. All right, well, so Candace, you would want the Italian accent. You would want stronger R rolling capabilities. All right.
Why is it always when you have the foreign accent or you're foreign, they always preface it with the how you say, and then they're always able to come up with it right afterwards.
Listen, if you ever go to Scandinavia, I can speak specifically Norway and Sweden. Everyone there speaks perfect English. And I've had conversations in Norway where someone goes, you ask them, hey, I'm a little turned around. I'm trying to get back to the Hilton. And they'll go, well, I hope my English is okay. Pardon me. But what you want to do is go about 80, maybe 90 meters, take a left on that little alcove. And they use words that you know but never use yourself. Like there's an inlet, and then you want it. And you're like, wait, what? Just point.
How do you know that?
And they're like, is my English okay? And I'm like, it's better than mine. Trust me when I say you're doing just fine. Thank you. Candace, do we have a caller?
Sure. Chris from Newport.
Chris, good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Long-time KQ listener. Zep, glad to have you back. Steve, it's nice to have you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so my story revolves around being 18 years old and coming out of a high school football game, so you can kind of see where this is going driving. There's in my car with three other guys. I'm driving a 71 LTD two-door, which is 4,200 pounds. And I'm coming to an intersection with a Volkswagen.
Horsepower.
Sure.
And what's the street that I'm on is a 40-mile-an-hour road. The Volkswagen is stopped at a stop sign.
Uh-huh.
And one of the guys in the back decided to start talking to me. And for some reason, instead of turning my head around and looking at him, I just leaned my ear back to listen to him. All the while keeping my eye on his Volkswagen that's at a stop sign,
right,
which I don't have to stop at.
Okay.
And for some reason, at the last second, this Volkswagen decided to go, and I slammed on the brakes, and I swore I stopped within 6 inches of his car. And he managed to get through. And then when I dropped guys off, when I dropped off the last guy, I had to stop in his driveway and end up being an 18-year-old, almost killing somebody. Had to cry a little bit to try to get my composure back, because it's like, if I had turned my head around, I would have broadsided that Volkswagen at 40 miles an hour with a 4,200-pound car.
Mm.
And, of course, back then, I'm '64. So back then in '77, nobody wore seatbelts.
Yeah, that would have been
game over.
That would have been awful. And I'm glad you mentioned you had to get out and cry a little bit. That adrenaline, when you have those near misses, it's overwhelming, especially at 18 years old. I had a similar story. I almost had a head-on collision. I got wandered off, and next thing you know, I'm overcorrecting a car, and I'm jerking all over the road. And when I finally got it straight, I did the same thing. I pulled over, and I jumped up and down and screamed, and there were tears coming out of my eyes. It was just it's overwhelming when you get that kind of a surge. Thank you for the call, and hey, we really appreciate the kind words.
All right, thanks, guys.
You got it. And by the way, I'm always a fan of anyone telling me how much their car weighs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm dead serious.
just
Like
knowing that.
In those old days, man. I used to have a '64 Dodge Dart, a 2-door. And it's bigger than any modern station wagon.
Right.
The cars back then were freaking huge.
Yeah, everything was just made of steel and iron and
That thing, it's I actually gave it to my brother. He still has it, which is like, what was I thinking? But he still drives it around. A nice '64 convertible Dodge Dart push-button transmission.
Oh, cool.
It's amazing, and he had a bunch of work. It's really in great shape now because he got it completely restored. And, you get in it, and you just feel like I'm driving a Sherman tank. It's incredible, the difference in those cars.
You wanted to run into things. Car accidents were fun.
No, you did. In fact, it's my second Dodge Dart. I had a '73 Dodge Dart Swinger before that. Not as big, not as heavy, but still bigger and heavier than a car today.
Yeah.
And in the late '80s around Atlanta, Georgia, if anybody woke up one morning and their Herbie Kirby, their trash can that you wheel out to the side of the street, if you found it knocked over, chances are it was my Dodge Dart that did it. Because once we realized that thing was you could not hurt the car. There were some late nights where we drove around running into trash cans, I'll be honest. I'd like to take this moment to apologize to the residents of Morningside and Ansley Park in 1989 that had trash scattered all over their yards.
Like a cracked headlight is all, or something like that. It knocked some dust off the bumper. Listen to this one from Andy. This is wild. 10 years old, Andy chokes on a jelly bean, swallowed it on accident, lodged perfectly in his airway, said, couldn't make a sound, not even a gasp. Remembered thinking, oh, my God, this is choking. And starts running to go downstairs to his parents, falls down the stairs.
Oh, no.
Dislodges the jelly bean.
Thank God.
Yeah. Okay.
That reminds me, I had a similar, I was homesick from school one day, and I was watching the Brady Bunch. I'm laying on the couch. I have a cough drop, like a Hall's Mentholyptus in my mouth. Mm-hmm. And on the Brady Bunch, a doctor looks at Cindy and goes, now open your mouth and say, ah. She's seeing a doctor. And she goes, ah. And I just go, ah. And I open my mouth, and that cough drop lodges right in my throat. Same thing. And I just sat there, and then I rolled over, and my mom happened to look over. I didn't make a sound. She saw the look on my face and came over and just punched me in the back one time hard, and it shot out across the room, and I was like, oh my God, Cindy Brady damn near killed me.
No, kids listening, don't do what they do on television.
Never.
That's all make believe. Don't be saying and stuff like
that. And this is the 70s, so they didn't have those disclaimers. Don't try this at home. Yeah. Don't say at home.
Oh man.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Monday, July the 17th. We've been discussing all morning, a bunch of things, but primarily close calls, near misses, if you will. Zepp was on a motorcycle doing 70 and just about hit a deer. And when he looked up to go, how did I not hit that deer? His rearview mirror was knocked in. So he got the snout, maybe. A lot of close calls we've been recounting. A lot of posts on the Facebook page, a lot of phone calls, a couple of ones on the Facebook page you wanted to share, Zep.
Oh, yeah, there's so many. I mean, when you have a chance today, if you're looking for some intense reading, that'll give you a lot of moments, right? Head over to the KQRS Facebook page. Jeff wrote, worked as a teller at a Brooklyn Center TCF, robbed at gunpoint by two masked men with two guns pointed at my head while emptying my drawer.
Oh, boy.
Thought that was going to be it for a minute. Whew, yeah, you'd see your life flash there. Laura wrote, 14 years ago, my camper exploded with me and my three sons in it. No one seriously hurt, though.
What?
Lynn, right?
Wait, what?
The camper exploded. I don't know how either, but wasn't their turn. Lynn, remember the root beer barrel candy Candace probably.
Oh, I love that candy.
Perfect choking size, wasn't it?
Sure, yeah.
Lynn choked on a root beer barrel candy when she was in her teens. Her friends did the Heimlich maneuver, flew out of her throat. She doesn't eat them anymore. I don't think they make them anymore, do they?
They're like the exact circumference of a hot dog, which is perfect choking. You know, the hot dog is the classic size.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't had a root beer barrel in a long time. I used to love those things.
Right. And Sloan has this experience. Got blown up in Iraq. All I remember is 5 seconds of laying in the sand with blood dripping down from my face, praying that I wasn't about to die. That was in 2010. We're glad you didn't, and thank you for your service, Sloan.
No question, man. That's as scary as it gets, because obviously, it's not an I can't believe this just happened. It's you're kind of waiting for something to happen, or you're certainly on high alert.
Yeah.
So that's a time release terror. For sure. Thanks for posting, and again, I'll second that. Thank you for your service, Sloan. We get in early in the morning. We hop up. We're all here. I've been here since January. No one's missed the starting gun yet. No one's been late. No one's been that late, I should say. So credit to the four of us for just for simply doing our jobs. We really don't need credit for doing what's expected of us, I guess. But we all know someone, maybe it's been us in our previous life, who is late, perpetually late. And you think to yourself, well, they get distracted, or they're they're irresponsible, or they're just selfish. And all those things are probably true. But what you didn't realize is, well, they're suffering from something, okay? Your friend who's perpetually late, they're not a jerk. They're suffering from time blindness. Yeah, that's right. We're not making this up. Time blindness.
I can't see time.
Oh, boy. This is not a medical condition, but doctors who discuss the concept of losing track of time, they do say some people are more prone to, again, in quotes, time blindness than others. Our brains are constantly shifting between two types of attention, okay? There's automatic attention and there's directed attention. Now, automatic attention is just what makes you happy. It's what you want to think about. It's something you like doing or that you find interesting. Directed attention is what you use when you are doing things that you have to do but don't really want to do.
Chores, work, yeah.
So periods of automatic attention can be so engrossing, you can become so hyper-focused that you lose track of time. But during directed attention, it can be hard to stay focused at all. This is what I call, again, selfishness and irresponsibility. But doctors actually have a term, time blindness. And did you have the audio of this person explaining their view? If you really want something to grind your gears and give you no hope for the future, listen to this young member of the workforce.
Just another quick add-on to that setup. She's wondering about catching a flight, but if she can't catch her flight because she suffers from time blindness, well, they just simply put her on another flight.
So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time? And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else, and then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist, and if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job. And yeah, I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're being expected to show up on time.
I guess
can't handle this.
I'm officially an old man, because that was a genuine laugh. I'm like, you got to be if one of my kids said that to me, you know what I'd say? Okay. See ya. Good luck to you.
Leaving you behind. Time blindness. This happened just last week. I'm talking to a friend, a 17-year-old daughter. Has a summer job, and she came home. She said, I can't deal with my boss. He's being really mean and abusive, and she was crying, and she said, I'm suffering from PTSD. I can't go back. And Dad's like, okay, calm down. Okay. PTSD is a real thing, honey.
Yeah.
You can't just throw that around. But seriously, what's going on here at work? What did he say to you? She said, he just walks in the room, and he's like, get back to work. Like, what? That was it? He goes, that was it. She was too upset. She said then she couldn't work even if she wanted to because she was too upset. I'm like, dude, man, I don't know where you went wrong, but you did somewhere.
That tyrant.
Yeah, get back to work. And yeah, she was too upset to go back to work again.
I'm all for future generations or current younger generations taking the lead and taking the mantle, and I get that the youth are the future. I mean the people running the world now were once the youth, and older people looked at them and rolled their eyes and did whatever. But there are certain hard, fast rules to anything making sense, and one of those is if someone says 9 o'clock, good, and you say yes, then by God, get there at 9. In fact, try 8:50, just for kicks and giggles.
I know.
Try being a little early. Now, I rolled my eyes when my dad used to say 9 o'clock means 8:45. Damn it!
Yeah.
But boy, I think 9 o'clock means 8:45 now.
Don't you feel? I walked into places. In fact, recently I walked in to get my hair cut. And I was right on the minute. And I walked in and went, "Ooh, sorry, I'm running a little late."
Yeah.
And she said, "No, you're exactly on time." And I went, "Oh, yeah."
Well, there's an old adage in Hollywood, and now it applies to the rest of the world. It used to make sense there, which is simply in Hollywood, if you show up on time, people think you're a genius.
Yeah.
Used to say all you got to do is show up. Showing up is 90% of the work because the city's so full of flakes. They just get there, like you're trying out for a part, you're on set, whatever your job is, not just the actors, but for anybody, it's like everybody who's here on time succeeds because everybody's talented. Everybody's good. But the difference is, can you be here when you say you'll be? It's literally that simple.
And I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time. Yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
She's precious.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Candace.
That culture needs to be, I love the use of the word dismantled.
Well, who's going to dismantle it? Not you. You're not getting off your butt and doing anything.
You know how hard it is to dismantle a culture? You got to get there early.
Yeah.
You got to roll up the sleeves, and you got to stay late.
That's right. I don't think we have anything to worry about.
You want to dismantle this culture, set that alarm, and do not go near that snooze button, kid.
Be so proud of my kids if they were ambitious enough and hardworking enough to dismantle a culture, but
really, sorry, yeah, it might be necessary, but you don't have the requisite skill set because you can't get up and be there on time.
Get back to work.
It's funny. I mean, like I'm just thinking about that. Like I was never the parent who would. Did you get your homework done? Do you need help? Let's go over it. I mean, I would look at my kids. I said, look, I will fall asleep the minute we crack open a textbook. It's Pavlovian. It's going to happen. I'd love to help you. I could help them write, like with writing, basic writing, getting a thought together, condensing a page into a paragraph that makes sense, or just anything that was like history or social studies. Those, I'm endlessly fascinated. But anything to do with math or science or chemistry, biology, they'd open those books and I'd be like, I kid you not, I yawn within 30 seconds of a textbook being opened, and I'm like, sorry guys, I'm not here to help. I'd be a hindrance. But I was always, I'd check in. You're doing good. What can I do? And then little things like you have a job. I would give them one or two. Hey, you better get up. And then after that, it's like, no, you're on your own. If you're going to get fired, if you're going to be late, if you miss that flight, well, guess what? The airline said 8:47. What did you think that meant?
Yep.
Like, it doesn't mean show up at 8:47. It means be there 30 minutes before, as they always do. And so what happened to people? You got to let your kid, you've got to just, the best way to teach someone about time is to let them screw up time.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And then just don't step in and constantly save their ass. Let them,
no,
miss
of course,
the flight.
that's what I mean.
Let them miss this. Let them go without a paycheck. And then, well, are you going to give me? No, you had a job. You didn't show up on time. You don't.
Our daughter was flying up here earlier this summer. She was coming up from Richmond, Virginia, and she texted, and she goes, and she had a early morning flight, and she said, this line is like a mile long. This airport's never been crowded. And I said, yeah, but it is now. So, and I've told my kids before, every airport has a website, and you can look at it, and it tells you what the security line length is. And they never took me seriously. And I go, did you look? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay. And I just was like, okay, well, best of luck. Let me know. Because it's like, I gave you the information. when I was a kid, there was no such thing as the internet, much less a website to tell me how early to get to the airport. So just figure it out.
I remember explaining tough love to the girls once when I had the audacity to, hold them to task. And listen, I was not my dad by a long shot.
Yeah.
So I was constantly caving in with those two little girls.
Sure.
But one of them asked me, what was tough love when you were a kid? And I said, there was no tough love. It was just called love. It was just all tough.
Yeah, right.
There was no, we'll let you off the hook, but now a little tough love is required. There wasn't any differentiate. There was one way.
Yep.
And it was always the hard way, it seemed.
Well, it was a different time when there was a perfectly reasonable expectation that if you don't treat your kids harshly, the world will swallow them whole.
Yeah.
It's a different world now.
Yeah.
There are tools that we didn't have. So as we all adapt and evolve, hey, check this out. The KQ Morning Show, the show you're listening to right now, myself, Zepp, Candace, Tony, we're hitting the road for a long weekend. KQ up north with our friends from BigDeck.com, October 5th through the 8th at Cregan's Resort on Gull Lake. Holy smokes.
I know.
Yeah, you got that right.
You got that right.
Got a lot going on.
Join us for a broadcast of this very KQ Morning Show, for a karaoke party, also a happy hour boat cruise, and live music. Rumor is there may be a round of golf or two as well. Book your stay right now.
Oh, yeah, I'm so excited. Golf.
At 92KQRS.com. Candace Wheeler, 18 holes. We're going to see if she can break 1,000.
No, I'm doing.
Two
Can't
or
you do
three.
9 or 18? No, I thought of. I don't think I'm going to actually golf. I think I'm just going to ride around in the golf cart in a really cute outfit and go check in on everyone.
I bet you can run the drink cart even better.
Yeah, and I could do some celeb shots, and it'll be great.
It's going to be great.
They do have a mini golf course.
Who are the celebs?
Cute.
Yeah,
No,
really.
it's called
What celebs are coming? That's exciting.
You guys are really too dad right now for me, because if you don't know what celeb shot means, then
Celeb Shaw.
shot.
Celeb
Shots?
shot?
I'm in.
Is that like is that rum based or vodka based?
No, it's when you let someone come and take a shot for you during your game.
Oh.
Invite them to come in.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I play actual golf, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
They're not using my golf clubs for sure.
Gorman. I play golf.
Book your stay right now at 92KQRS.com. Candace and I are going to have a long talk during this commercial break. Sponsored by BigDeck.com and Cregan's Resort on Gull Lake. That's going to be a blast.
Yes, it is.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zepp, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That's Boston Rock and Roll Band, a song about a young band, working at it, putting their shoulder to the wheel, grinding it out, playing for no money, crashing on people's floors. And Tom Schultz had never done any of that. He just made that whole story up. He's a Polaroid executive. Guy was loaded. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. I'm not taking away from his talents, but he did say, I had to talk to other local musicians and hear their stories to figure out what that was up. Kind of like Robbie Robertson writing all those songs about, things like the Civil War because of stuff Levon Helm told him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, what does Robbie know about, the night they drove Old Dixie down without Levon putting a little bug in his ear? Anyway, bands are funny that way, I guess. We are talking about other things that are funny, like near misses, near-death experiences. We've all had them. And to repeat myself, the key word here is near. We don't want to hear a story about your friend that didn't escape. We want to hear what scared the bejesus out of you and gave you a little bit of perspective. And we were about to. Well, we're still going to do this. We still have a couple other great things we want to mention. But as the phones are lit up, everyone's got a story to share. Candace, who is on hold right now?
John from Medford.
John, good morning, sir. Hello, John.
Yes, hey.
Hey, man, what do you got for us?
So this was 1982, fresh out of high school. I was elk guide out in Montana, and opening day, went out with the head guide and dropped off our guys, and he said, just go over there and do some scouting and glassing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So went over the hill. I was gone a couple hours and came upon this den. I thought it was a coyote den.
Uh-oh.
Underneath this big overturned tree, and I thought, geez, I was 18.
Coyotes were worth about $150 at that time, and I said, well, if I can crawl in there and get me a coyote, I'll have $150.
Right.
So I started wiggling down in there, and it got down about to my hips, and it really opened up under the root ball. So I was letting the sun filter in. It was a little dark. Finally, I see two eyes right in front of me, and looking, and instead of pointy ears, there's round ears, and a big muzzle right in front of me. I could feel his breath on my face, and he was just looking at me like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Okay.
So I backed out of there and ran as fast as I could, and found the guide and the other hunters. Oh, geez, probably half an hour later, and he goes, "Let's go back and find it. This guy's got a bear tag." So we go over. I said, "It should be over the hill over here somewhere. I'm not sure." Go over there. And the guide takes off running, and he's gone for like 15 minutes, and he comes back, and he goes, "We're standing right over here. Where's the den?" I pointed to him, and they didn't believe that I had crawled in there. And then they looked at it, and they could see my hand and knee prints coming out of there.
So you thought you were getting a coyote, and you found yourself in a bear den.
Yes, sir.
Even for $150 coyote, I mean, even after a coyote, I would not be crawling in a dark den, young man. Good Lord. Son, what are we going to do with you?
Well, I don't know.
No answer.
He goes, "Don't ever do that again."
Yeah. Well, I guess the good news is you haven't done it since, and you're still with us. So, hey, we appreciate you listening, and thank you for the call, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah, luckily.
Thank you.
Oftentimes, because they're cornered in there as well, and if you scare the wrong bear, that's you're not coming out of that den. You're going to become a part of that den.
I'm a big believer, and there's no such thing as the right bear. So
fair enough.
Tony, do we have a text?
Yeah, Scott says apparently I'm supposed to be alive because I've survived one. Shoveled into buried electric cable, lit me up like a Christmas tree. 2, slipped and fell on ice. Traumatic brain injury, Mayo Clinic got me walking and functioning again.
Oh, boy.
3, 2-inch stainless steel nails from a nail gun to the chest.
Jeez.
Missed my heart by a 1/4 inch. And 4, stroke at age 48, now 56 and still kicking.
Is this
Way
the
to go,
same
Scott.
person, by the way?
Yeah. Iron Man Scott.
Iron Man Scott. Good guy to know. Not a great guy to be standing near. Oh, my God.
He'll take the nails for you.
Man, no kidding. Dude's got 9 lives for sure.
Right, using them up.
That's pretty good. Candace, is there another caller?
Greg from Luck, Wisconsin.
Greg, good morning.
Yeah, hi. Well, first it started out, I was talking to a friend of mine in a pole barn one Saturday morning, and we were talking about cattle.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, I've never been in my 20 years, we were talking about being bulls. I said, in 20 years, I've never been hit by a cow or a bull. I've been sick, but never hit.
You really should never say that out loud.
I know it. And then Tuesday, a bull attacked me. I remember my hands on his head. He threw me into a fence, broke my nose in my orbital socket, fractured my shoulder in 20 places, and busted 2 ribs. When I was laying down, I looked back, and he come with his head right down on my shoulder.
Oh, they got to give you a big buckle for that one.
Yeah, and on top of it, the guy I was off for a year, so they hired a guy to replace me at work. I worked in South St. Paul with Mooseburger, but the guy they hired to replace me, 3 years later, a bull killed him at work.
Oh Lord!
Well, my Aunt Mary Ann, she lost her spleen to a bull, and one put my brother down, but nothing that serious. Whew.
Man, that is rough.
It's a big animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they was 1,750 pounds.
Yeah.
That's 1,700 pounds more than I need to mess with on any given day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, glad you're still with us, brother. Thank you for the call.
Yep.
See
ya.
See ya.
Yep.
Wait, what happened with your brothers up?
We were branding bulls and soon to be steers. And, they one of them came out of the chute, and Dad said, no, when they come out of the chute like this, you guys boys stand out there and kind of give them the old, kind of run them back towards the corral gate.
Okay.
And my brother, I saw one come out, and he looked pissed off. He was snorting, and snot was flying, and I wasn't giving him the but my brother did as he was told. And he stood up and gave him the, get up there. And that thing was running past him until he stopped and did that.
Oh, boy.
And then it turned around and put eyeballs on him. And chased him right down, knocked him to the ground, and then rolled him along the ground like a barrel. I can still see it today.
So you're talking to me?
Yeah, right. And my dad was laughing so hard he could barely pick my brother up. I'm like, well, make sure he's all right before you split your side there, Dad.
I saw a video over the weekend, and I got to find out if it's real, but it looks real. There's okay, so it's about rodeo clowns. We all know what rodeo clowns are.
Mm-hmm.
But have you seen those like plastic bubble things people wear, and then they run into each other?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Just a big clear. Well, rodeo clowns are wearing these and running and allowing the bulls to smash into them.
I want to do that.
And this bull hits a guy. I swear to God, he goes 30 feet into the air and lands outside the corral, the fence, the pen, whatever you call the area, the corral, the fence, the air. I mean, it's an astonishing display of strength. I
have to see that.
Yeah, it's on Twitter. I saw it. I was like, I cannot believe this.
When you're doing that, look up on YouTube, look up bull bingo or rodeo bingo. I can't believe anyone that would ever do this. You must be so drunk at these rodeos. And this one was, I believe, down in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, maybe it was Oklahoma, where everybody goes out and you have to stand in a little circle. And they cut the bull loose. And the last person to get knocked down, and I mean, this bull was sending people 10, 15 feet in the air. They're not wearing a bubble.
Yeah.
They're not wearing any flak jackets or helmets. But yeah, the last person standing in their circle won the bull bingo, and you got, I don't know, a pitcher of beer or something.
Yeah, I hesitate to call it a near-death experience when you willingly walk into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a near-dumb experience, if anything.
A damn dumb experience.
Call me crazy. Candace, do we have another call?
Yes.
Are you sure?
It's Larry from St. Paul.
Good morning, Larry from St. Paul. What's up, brother?
Good morning, all. I just had that near-death thing in last August when the tornado came through the east side of St. Paul at 8:59 in the evening on Saturday night.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, it sounded like a jet engine passed my bedroom window.
Sure did.
And I rolled over, went back to sleep. Power went out at 8:59. I got up at 1 o'clock to look around, and it snapped a 3-foot oak tree off at the ground in my backyard and laid it over my garage in the neighbor's house.
Oof. Yeah.
But that's the first one I heard that sounded like a jet. They usually sound like a train.
Yeah.
One of the more modern twisters.
Whatever you want to call it, it sounds like the end is nigh. That's for sure. Getting that close to a tornado.
I told my oncologist a week later, I said, Doc, my fight or flight reflex is dormant. I told him about the tornado. I said, I rolled over and went back to sleep. I don't think that's a healthy way to live.
No, well, that's calm as a cucumber.
Well,
there,
the tornado's going to do what it's going to do. At least if it had been your time, you weren't panicked and sweating, you would have gone out in your sleep. It could be worse.
Heck no. I felt very fortunate. So fortunate that when the hurricane came through Florida last September, my little sister moved down there, never been through one. I said, hey, I'll bring God's grace with me, and we'll fight that tornado, that hurricane together. Hurricane Ian met Hurricane Q here.
Yeah, right. Nice sentiment to be sure. Larry, thank you for the call, brother.
Hey, have a great day.
I've seen one tornado and I've heard 2 tornadoes. That's life in Western Kentucky in the 70s, and both what you would call F1s, little fellas.
Yeah.
And man, nothing scarier. The seeing one from a distance, and it was dark, and there was just a lightning flash. Lightning was flashing every few seconds, and you're like, "Ooh, look at that! Ooh, look at that!" And then there's a lightning flash, and like, "Oh my God!" There it was, looked like something from a cartoon, like a perfectly formed. Sometimes you see a tornado, and you're like, "Well, where's the twister? Where's the cloud?" This was like a perfect cylinder coming down to the ground. That was a bit of a panic inducer. And then a couple years later, second tornado came. My mom and my brother were at a red light, and it dropped down, and they were probably 200 yards away, and they watched a tornado go right through a liquor store and just obliterate it.
Oh, wow.
As they were frozen in fear watching it. And thankfully, it just didn't turn towards them, because if it had, they're goners. They're up in the air.
I might help with that cleanup. There'd be a few bottles that weren't broken.
There were a few.
Some
for
made
sure.
it.
Well, the roof went right off first, and then some walls fell. So there was a lot of bottles that were thrown, but plenty that were still sitting right there for the miscreants and the ne'er-do-wells like you, Zep, who would see disaster and think, well, at least we can tie on a buzz.
I would try and, help anyone first. I mean, I
Cup
wouldn't
of
go
buzz for tornado relief. Cup of buzz for tornado relief.
If someone was screaming for help in the debris, I wouldn't, race for the. Hey, no, wait. There's a couple of good bottles of Jameson over here. I got to get to first.
Well, yeah, Jameson. Yeah, that works. That works.
A little bit in the coffee, perhaps.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Frozen.
That's what it sounds like when things just go frozen on you.
I don't like that at all.
No.
That was scared. I felt like I was dying, like this was my last moment.
Are you okay?
It was our cat-like reflexes that let us know something's changed. Something's changed.
Yeah.
Sometimes things freeze, and thankfully, we still hang out and we get to continue to do radio, despite the frozen nature of the computer system that runs this very radio show. Things go sideways, you stand upright and you deal with it. That's how that works. What are you going to do?
You man up.
You man up. But you know what? Candace is on the case. You know how I know Candace is on the case? She's standing and she's holding her phone. That's fantastic. Candace is like radio SWAT.
What's up now?
She's the SWAT team. You call in the SWAT team when it all gets too thick. Things change. Computers freeze. Radio goes in the ditch. We're fine. Joe Walsh, a guitarist of note, a man who's been a part of the rock conversation for over 50 years, was asked recently what he thought of AI-created music. And, Zepp, I believe he had something pretty good to say.
I don't have much to say about it. It's computers. It has nothing to do with music.
Yep.
It's, it can't destroy a hotel room. It can't throw a TV off the 5th floor into the pool or get right in the middle. When AI knows how to destroy a hotel room, then I'll pay attention to it.
Fantastic.
He did write one, Analog Man. I think that was Joe's.
Yeah.
Many
when
years
AI
ago.
can bring a woman to multiple orgasms between sound check and the gig, then I'll pay attention to it.
That's right. That's right.
When AI can ignore their financial planner's advice and go on tour forever regurgitating songs that are 50 years old just to pay the mortgage, then I'll pay attention to it.
Right.
AI would make smart investments.
Right.
I'm not saying that's what Joe's doing. He's done very well for himself. I'm just saying.
Yeah, AI has to die on the table first and be brought back with an adrenaline shot.
When AI embraces Eastern philosophy and starts wearing a man bun, all right, then I'll pay attention to it. That's fantastic.
Life according to Joe Walsh.
It's great. He goes right to the TV in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
By the way, don't tempt AI to start destroying hotel rooms. It'll figure it out.
That'll bring down an entire hotel.
They'll be like actual suddenly lightsabers will really exist. And you'll
Right.
just be torching places left and right.
I'm telling you, I quit doing it. I know I was teasing it a few weeks ago that there's this AI program where you just read a few innocuous things. It gives you a few things to read that are maybe 2 or 3 sentences long, and it mimics your voice. And I was just halfway into the process of doing it when that morning and then you type in what you want it to say, and I just typed in laughing. And it had me laughing. And yeah, right. I used it several times that morning. Not one of you responded to, God, that sounds a little odd. I did play it for Tony, and Tony thought it sounded a little robotic. It's not quite there yet. But yeah,
that's a little crazy.
We're very close to.
There's a lot of AI scams out there that we've talked about them. And in fact, we actually had someone call in immediately, like the scam where you get a phone call, it's your child saying they've been arrested, they're in jail. I have a buddy in Nashville this happened to. The mom was on a business trip. He was home. They're scrambling to get their son out of jail. The exact same thing that our caller said, which was he got a call. My son called me, said he was in jail. He T-boned a car drunk. It was a pregnant woman. She might not have made it. It was the exact same scenario we heard about. That's been happening. So these scams, they're getting your voice. They're getting the voices of your children, I should say. And no matter how ready you are for it, no matter how prepared you are, the one guy that called us and told us his story, he was an attorney himself.
Yeah.
And he thought he was on the phone with an attorney representing his son. So the scammers are all over this. However, there's still some old school scams out there you've got to be aware of. And check this one out. This is mind-boggling. This just happened in Nebraska. It starts as a Craigslist ad. People are placing ads. They need help. Here's the ad. I have an elderly family member. I'm looking for someone to help me run errands for them. I can't be on hand all day. And you don't have to deal with their health concerns, but we need some housework, grocery shopping, running errands, et cetera, et cetera. And for plenty of people, they're like, well, yeah, I got a few hours in a day. I can earn some extra money. I can do that. So last week, a woman in Omaha, Nebraska fell for it. She responded to the ad. Yes, I'm available to run errands. She was asked to, among other things, go to the bank. I need you to go to the bank and make a withdrawal. When she got to the window, the scammer, the person who put her up to this, was on the phone with the woman, said, hey, put the teller on the phone so I can give them the account info. I don't want to give it to you. I'll give it directly to the teller. That sounds perfectly legit. So the woman, the kind-hearted woman trying to make a living, get a few extra bucks for running errands, hands the teller the phone, and on the phone, the person tells the teller, this is a robbery.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Give us an undisclosed amount of cash. The woman has no idea. The teller just hands her an envelope full of cash, and she takes it.
She's smiling.
She thinks she's just running her errand.
Well,
she didn't
teller
find
must
out.
be hung over. They were sweating and shaking.
She didn't find out until much later that she'd actually robbed a bank.
Oh, my, I'm a criminal.
I'm sorry. I'm a little impressed with this scammer. They're a scumbag. They need to be brought to justice, but I'm a little impressed.
No, never condoning it, but no, hat tip, man. Seriously.
Really?
Wow. You pulled that off and it worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
The best possible way I can imagine to rob a bank is to have someone else do it for you, and they don't even know they're doing it.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. This is Lieutenant Kyle Steffen talking about that very scam you're talking about.
Well, the initial reaction, we were somewhat surprised. After the first one, we were definitely on the lookout for. And so any time that they start asking for money to be sent online, that's the biggest red flag that jumps up.
Yeah, but, they covered their base on this one, didn't they? You're just running and of course, they don't want to give you the bank number. They want to tell it directly to the teller. I thought they covered this one pretty well. Man. Yeah, but you would notice, wouldn't you? Oh, I suppose it. Because if you're handing them the phone, you're not at the drive-thru. So if you're doing this in person, wouldn't you notice a change in their manner? But you might write it off like maybe thinking, what is their problem? Geez, all of a sudden they just got really weird about it.
Maybe you're thinking, this teller's going to hand me like $1,000. I bet they won't miss $10 off the top. Maybe she was already thinking she was going to rob the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Let me just throwing her under the bus too. This woman who's just helping people out.
That would have been perfect for the scammer if the lady that took the bank withdrawal, the person that was being scammed, went, no, I think I'll just keep this. I'm going to scam this person.
Man, that is rough. Before we have a history lesson, which there's plenty of history to get into today, just on a quick deviation, side note, Emmanuel Macron, he's the French president. Macron, he's been the president for quite some time, and there are issues with people on strike regularly. The trash people in Paris did not want to clean up their rubbish. There's always something going on. The president of France, it's a heady job. They're always complaining over there. Someone sent the man a severed finger this week.
They're so dramatic, aren't they?
Yeah, a severed finger arrived in the mail. There are protests around the city. It showed up at his official residence without a note. Here's a source from the president's home. The finger was initially put in the fridge where the police put their snacks. This was to make sure it was preserved and could be analyzed as quickly as possible.
Well, that'll teach you to steal someone else's food.
Yeah. Has anyone seen a finger, a single digit? I think it was a left index finger. And there's a dude over there with his, jambon, sandwich du jambon going. It was a bit crunchy in the middle. I was surprised.
A finger sandwich. Wouldn't, I guess the middle finger probably isn't significant over there in France like
it's
it is
the
here in
two.
the
It's
States.
the middle finger and the pointer finger.
Okay.
You reverse it. It's like the reverse V for victory.
Yeah, that's right.
You put these two fingers in your nose, you Macron, you.
I feel like if I'm cutting off one of my fingers to send to the president of my country as a protest, I'm going to throw a note in there. I just don't want it to be, this is the protest for the, garbage collectors. No, it's not. It's the, you know what I'm just saying? It's a little ambiguous.
It could easily be misinterpreted.
Right.
It could, it could also, you could just think it's a mistake,
Yeah, I've gotten to all this trouble to actually cut the finger off. By the way, root beer barrels are still being made. Thank you, Kevin, for emailing in, and they are delicious. Well, I was never a big root beer guy,
The root beer barrel candy, a choking hazard for generations, still in production. Excellent.
No kidding, yeah. No kidding. I love it. All right. Thanks, Kev, for emailing that in.
By the way, I mentioned that they're the exact diameter, or close to it anyway, of a hot dog. When did hot dogs become such a choking hazard? Because that was not a 70s thing. When did we all realize that kids can choke on hot dogs? It's a real thing. Like every year. It's like you see doctors are like, don't give toddlers hot dogs. If you do, chop them into tiny pieces.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just not a thing when I was a kid. We were every Saturday, hot dogs and hamburgers, man. That was a staple. On the grill.
Of course, weenies and beanies.
Yeah, it could have been. That could also just be 1970s natural selection in on display. Maybe the adults did know. We were talking earlier about tough love back in the day.
Every once in a while, you lose one to a hot dog. That's why we have 5 or 6. These days, we only have 1 or 2.
Honey, if the kid can't eat a hot dog, how's he going to get to medical school?
He's no good.
Straight. You know that's true.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Why don't we look back? Let's learn. Let's educate ourselves, shall we?
Today, on this day,
nothing happened. Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. So what happened?
What is it, Steve?
I'll let you know what it is. It is July the 17th, and on this day in 1941, the longest hitting streak in baseball ended. Cleveland Indians pitchers held Joe DiMaggio of the New York Yankees hitless for the first time in 57 games. Now, I am not by any means a baseball expert. Over the years, I've spoken to a bunch. I used to do sports talk radio, and I would ask all these analysts and even other players, I'd say, what's the one record no one will break? Is it like consecutive wins for a pitcher? Is it all-time home runs? Is it all-time hits? What's the one thing in baseball history nobody will do? And every single one of them would say the hitting streak. Nobody will ever get near 57 straight games with a hit again. It's beyond inconceivable. That record is now 82 years old, and the closest anyone ever came was 44.
Oh, was it that high?
Pete Rose got 44.
Okay.
But that was as close as it's come, and that's still 2 weeks of baseball shy of the record. You know what I mean? That's a lot of games. So Joe DiMaggio, between that and Marilyn Monroe, good run, bro.
Not bad.
Inconceivable.
Jeez.
Lived it right.
On this day in 1994, the United States, first time ever hosting the World Cup of Soccer. The final was Brazil versus Italy. The U.S. hosting the World Cup, it was a huge moment for soccer dorks like me. We'd spent 20 years saying it's the sport of the future and it's our time and we're finally going to be a soccer-loving nation. And the World Cup final, it's Brazil, Italy, 2 of the all-time greats. Massive audience tunes in, the biggest U.S. audience ever to watch a soccer game, and the game is a complete turd.
Why?
It was scoreless.
Oh.
Went to penalty kicks. It was awful. Both teams were so tense and playing under pressure. It was one of those games that people that don't know about soccer say soccer is. It actually happened that day. And while watching it, I was like, me and every soccer guy's like, this is bad. This is bad. We've been saying it wasn't like this. Can someone please do something?
Oh, the future just got further out into the future.
It really did. It was like, and it's still the sport of the future. Oh, well, what are you going to do?
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.